Recording.
Okay, continue.
All right. So, hi, Megan.
Hola.
So, we're just going to continue our conversation here because we're so inspired right now at this solstice, on this solstice day, to share our embodied wisdom as Christ illuminated divine feminine incarnations. if you want to add words to how I've been feeling lately with these massive shifts happening in our planetary solar logos and where we're heading in the galaxy. So my divine sister, Megan, and I met a couple of years ago. We did a few videos together for just also supporting each other, because when you find a star mate or star being sister that you really connect with, it's such a beautiful gift. And thankfully we've been talking and supporting each other throughout these times. And we have very different realities, as we all do. We all have our lives, we have our families, we have the choices, and yet we find this common ground in our, I guess, our ascension journey, our journey of higher awareness and embodying more and more of our higher self and all of that. And I'm super grateful and honored to have Megan in my life. And we laugh a lot together, and she's been my joyful burst of sunshine. And so I'm so happy to yeah, and I think it's important. So we decided that we're going to do a recording again and just share how we share with each other, and hopefully inspire and empower others who are going to be listening to this in whatever space-time junction that may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like peeping Tom into our personal conversation, but share it with whoever we want.
Exactly.
I guess it's not really peepee Tomming if we peepee Tommy.
Oh, here we go. Here we glow. Here we start laughing.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was interesting to me yesterday about I kind of woke up feeling, I don't want to really say discombobulated, more like spacey, and instead of me trying to figure out, oh, I feel spacey and this must be going on and this is going on in the planetary alignments and the collective, and there's always tons of stuff going on, right? That's just part of the experience. It's really just allowing yourself to embrace what you're feeling in that very moment in time, because emotions come and go too, just like every experience that we have. And I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to roll with this. There are times when I get caught up in my head, like we all do. And then for the most part, I'm finding that that's not really so much a factor for me anymore.
Mhm.
It's just about reminding myself oh, okay, a thought is a thought and it passes too. And so let's move on, kind of a thing. Right. So I was feeling a little bit of kind of spaciness yesterday, but it wasn't like a spaciness that I would categorize as a negative thing. It was about me offering to be able to give the perspective in a different way to myself of another way that I feel peace.
Mm.
And recognizing that what so many people call the mundane. I wrote about something this a while ago about how people look at the mundane as boring. And I, on the other hand, look at whatever you want to call the mundane as it's still life, it's experience, and it's how you're choosing to embrace that experience. Whether it's you got to get up and walk your dog, or you got to get up and walk your dog, or you know what I mean, or get up and have a cup of coffee, or have coffee so I can get going for the day. It's just how you're choosing to embody the way that you feel, and if it doesn't feel right, well, guess what, creator, change it.
Mm. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. It's like the same experience, and how you're perceiving it and how you're vibrating into that that reality is going to draw more of that frequency, whatever it is. If it's joy and it's done no matter what it is, and like you said, the mundane, that's exactly it. It's like we're here as physical beings, right? So we're here to enjoy this whole creation, and to enjoy the creative process of creating what we want to experience in our own reality. And that often doesn't always look like a typical life, and yet at the same time it is, because like you said, every morning you have to, you have your routine or not. Some people, I have certain routine. Coffee is one of them for sure. and and
Same.
whatever that day could be. I'm also a lot like the planet, like never the same. Like if it's raining out, obviously I'm not going to go for my hour walk. I'm going to do something else inside. But even folding the clothes, putting music on and enjoying it and being grateful and saying, wow, I have so much abundance. I can choose, this color, this fabric, this, and enjoy the process of even just that, choosing your clothes for the day. Like, seems mundane, but it could be this creative joy that you're like, and gratitude. And if you're in that vibration, it's like, wow, this just, everything is sacred. You're living in that sacredness that you're experiencing. And even though we have to sometimes remind ourselves, like there could be days of it, but I find less and less. And that's what's really, because the more you become creator, as you said, the more you know yourself as that creator being, the more you're like, well, I can shift this like pretty quickly. I don't have to like, or I mean, some do, but languish in the melancholy, or the go back and like review stuff. That's okay. I mean, it's all
Part of growth.
it's part of the growth, yeah. And the shadows and all this stuff that we've been working on transmuting and bringing into our conscious awareness, so that it's there, and you don't have to push it down or hide it, or like destroy the ego or any of that. It's just about that merging of higher self-awareness into the body, embodying that, I guess I don't even have a word for it. I don't know if it's inspiring anything from you that you want.
And for me, we use the word, and this is just embodiment. And I feel it as it already is. It's just, are you willing to reflect what is already there? What has never left you, what you've never had to search for, it's always been there. But are you looking and being a representation of your divinity, of your light, of and of your dark, like you're here in this human body having these challenges and these experiences, and you're never going to get away from them.
Yeah.
But the difference is, how are you going to rise to those adversities? And when I literally mean rise, there are some adversities, as I know and that drop you to your knees, like, and you're like, oh, hell no, hell no.
No more of that.
Yeah. But that goes back into like reflection of being able to, like, later on, as you allow yourself to feel the emotions of it, and not even, and sometimes, yes, we get caught up in rumination, but reflecting back on it, you can see the growth that occurred through it, and like, oh, and then all of a sudden it's not such a big deal, but you kind of just let your head get into this like tangent of like bullshit.
Yeah, transmute.
but the bullshit still fertilizes stuff, so
Right, for sure. But to not like, yeah, that's really the compost of our reality. So, you want to put it that way, makes
yeah.
that gold, like that stuff makes a lot of stuff grow. So that's using the gardening analogies, which are always good to to connect dots with, because nature is our teacher. And the holographic or hologenetic reality that we are participating in allows us to really like step in as those beings of like love in action. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And in every day, and how can I expand this every single day more and more, and not what I came in with, which are the limiting beliefs and the, the program that we just come in with, and we're supposed to just accept that that's it. And if you're not raised in a spiritual family, you got to figure that shit out by yourself. You got to become your own guru, kind of thing. For a while, yes, we look outside ourselves, and we do have a lot of teachers, and for me, it's been that teacher. I mean, I've had several teachers, but ultimately I realize that I'm the guru. The guru is the dark, the goo, the gear, the muck muck. And the ru is the light that shines into the darkness. So that's what guru actually means. So again, it's like in this new age, it's about us really getting that we are our own gurus, that we need to more and more get our own discernment from within and listen to that fully. Because if we're getting completely distracted by anything all outside of us, and again, outside of us is also reflecting our reality, so it's, it could be playful, fun, and or whatever it is that we are needing at that stage in our evolution to reflect to us our reality, and then choose, do I want more of this, or am I gonna finally like release this like, yeah, this bullshit that doesn't serve me.
Release it and or accept it, and be able to recognize when other people come to you and you share a present space time with them, that you're not there to fix them,
Mm,
and you're there to allow them time to be able to express themselves, no matter how scattery it can sound and how much you want to jump in and be like, oh, you should do this, and this is how I do. I mean, I do that, we all do. We all, like, we want to save people from feeling pain, but pain isn't everything. And also pain can be, oh gosh, what's the word? Pain can create freedom as well.
mhm,
So it's allowing people to, they talk in the spiritual communities, or I don't even know what you want to call them. if, I don't even know if I want to say spiritual communities, but in some communities that I have affiliated with off and on, people talk about ancestral healing. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, not that there's a right or wrong, but I was like, oh my gosh, we're doing it so backwards. Like, we're doing this ancestral healing when the whole time it's like our ancestors are saying to us, no, it's about community. It's about talking. It's about dance. It's about celebration. It's about sorrow. It's about expression. It's about living,
mhm.
and not judging. I was sharing this with Josh this morning, and he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, and so, like, these women that I work with, or these young girls that I work with currently, um, when I'm having discussions with them, yeah, of course, I'm going to share some information if I feel so pulled to do so. But for the most part, what I'm finding is people just want a really safe place to be able to be free to um, express their voice and share their emotions without being told it's wrong, you
Right.
know, and allow it to move through them. And there's so much healing and forgiveness in oneself in those moments. I mean, they're incredibly impactful, just to be able to sit there with somebody and not pity them, because there's absolutely no pity. Like, in some of these girls, the atrocities that they have gone through are absolutely horrific. And some may think that this comment is very shallow, but it's not. It's an experience that happened to their body. It's not who I see them as,
Right.
and it's not who I feel them as. And for them to be able to verbally voice it, it's like they get these moments of feeling like, oh my God, that's not me. That's something that happened to me. And thank you for allowing me to say that out loud and to feel this within myself.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just kind of went off on a little thing there, huh?
That's great, but that's the whole thing. That's why our conversations, I feel, are so rich. And through your own experiences, then you share them, and then I share mine, and we're expanding even our own experiences because we can do that, and we can actually listen to the other person fully, and not be like, oh, I'm gonna like jump in and it's like there's nothing left to prove or to convince. It's just this acceptance of what is and how the world is perfectly unfolding as it's meant to, and each soul is having the experiences that they need in order to grow and to expand on a soul level as a human being. And yet you're in the world, but you're not necessarily of it, which is kind of where that merge of higher self and I think it was Deepak Chopra who calls it synchro destiny, and also the soul infused personality. So it's like you're not choosing, you're either a personality and you have an essence, you have a color, you have a radiance that is uniquely yours. And through that, you know, just loving it so much that you can fully be in other, like in the whole world and everything everywhere, like because your essence is not being tainted or nothing's taken away from you. That's the thing. That's what a lot of people, that's the whole delusion of the Maya, or the separation of when you're not in your higher essence, you're not going to be able. And I know that because I went through most of my life like that. I had a lot of victim consciousness happening, and I had a lot of, everything was happening to me, right? And then
Right.
so that's where it's like, it's no, you got to flip everything over and realize that you are the one creating these situations, and they're going to keep repeating until you finally get it. And sometimes it is through our ancestral lineage or our karmic relationships that we grow the most. And for some, we're growing with our families and our karmic, and others actually need to step away from that because it's actually toxic for them. And so each soul is going to have those experiences. There's not one way. It's just, what is it with you and your own ancestral lineage perhaps, but it's just like honoring your soul path and not letting in like just interference, or again perceived interference, because there's a point where you're not being interfered with anymore because you realize that it's all coming from you. So these demons and these dragons and these, in the Bible, it's called the sins, or you start to see that it's always the same story, they're just using different words, but our reality is actually made up of the stories. And that's why it's so important now to become the victorious ones, the ones who have transcended the victim state and are now fully in their God essence and able to be that in the world. And the more of us do that, then that old reality is just dissipating, and it's going quicker and quicker, I think, because we're like, oh yeah. And I'm getting full on shivers right now as I'm saying that, because I really believe that the light is exponentially growing right now, as it has been prophesied. And so here we are, embodying our piece of the puzzle of this whole codex reality. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
And like even when we talk about experiences that you keep having occur, I would even explore the possibility that maybe that these experiences are occurring not necessarily that you're just creating them, but that you've seen them and you can reflect on them differently for the people that are actually in that experience with you there in a different way. So your consciousness or you have experienced something over and over and over again, right? And you're like, why does this keep coming into my experience? Well, maybe it's at the point where you need to say to yourself, because I know how that felt, and I can offer a different focal point for somebody else if they're so inclined to receiving it. It can be as simple as that too. instead of like, why is this still occurring to me? Why is this still coming? I mean, kind of like sex trafficking stuff was always coming into my experience. And um and now I know why, because I work with these amazing women, young girls, for one reason or another, something, whether it's with that or some other kind of trauma, that the whole world is full of trauma. It, it was like I was learning to where I was becoming to go in my journey, and this isn't the end either. Like, I feel like what I'm doing now is only adding to my experience of how I can compassionately relate to people in their experience, because
Wow.
it is their experience.
Yes.
And we really need to be kind to one another. I mean, we really do. And trust me, I don't sit here in this chair and be like, oh, I'm holier than thou. I've been a freaking bitch. And I have been super egoic, and I have been all of those things. And guess what? I love all those parts of me, because they're still a part of what I came to do and what I came to experience and how I came to choose to grow. So it's by
Oh,
using our words to not self-sabotage ourselves and self-mutilate ourselves, and you know
yeah. Wow, that's so profound. And like you said, the important thing about allowing people, if they so choose to receive, or to, if they ask, then, you can offer that, but to kind of be out there, again, this old Piscean age of like the savior, the Christ is also this, and the religions and it's like, it's a program, it's something that we come in with, I think. And it's about, well, no, actually, that we're healing from that trauma, exactly, from those ages, together, collectively, and individually. We're doing that, profound work of self observation, um or there's, what is that self-awareness, or inquiry, which is very popular now as a theme, like self-inquiry. And it's like, that's because if you're not like just sitting meditating, yes, you're going to receive, guidance and things if you're asking, which is amazing. But that guidance can be while you're folding your clothes, or you're staring at the tree, or so it's not about
yeah,
sitting.
why limit source?
Yeah, and why continue these beliefs again, that you need to go somewhere in some spiritual convention or a spiritual group? And honestly, until very recently, I still believe that. I still believe that, oh, only those people that are doing this are actually choosing, to be enlightened or to become like spiritual. And I was really really into that, and until finally I broke free from that. And same thing, being a rebel, like in my nature, just like questioning everything to a point where it's so annoying for everybody around you, because it's like, this one just like, she just won't accept that that's the way it is because I said so. And I'm like, no, that's bullshit. It's like and I got kicked out of school because of that, because they were like, she just won't listen, and she has an attitude problem, and she's not just taking orders. And I'm like, hell no, I'm not, because this is bullshit and you guys are full of shit. And who's telling the story here? Whose story is this? His story. His story, it was a dominating thing, and it all had to happen, of course, because we wouldn't be where we are without that story. But I think it's important to acknowledge that part of ourselves, that we wouldn't be where we are either without having gone through that kind of strong-willed, powerful kind of warrior. And we come in as like these little girls, right, in a world that, like you said, there's just been this constant trauma linked to that. So if we're embodying that archetype, basically, or that avatar, right, because we're coming in, we're so much more than all of it, but we're playing roles here. I mean, this is, like Shakespeare said, the whole world is a stage. So what's your role? What's your hero's journey? What are you about? And how are you going to, rise above this whole thing? And that's going to be unique to each one of us. But for us, we were brought, we're born in the same year. We're born in a North American culture, although you're, in Texas and I'm in Eastern Canada. This is where our geography is and all that. And we have certain cultural conditions that go with that. But we didn't come here to stay in those molds, like we're here to bust through the system busters or whatever. I think like in the Pleiadians, they say that, but I've kind of felt like, oh, it's always been there. And that's why I've had to, and if I ignored it, which I did for a very long time to try to fit in, right? Dim to fit in. No, that's not good. Not good for the soul, not good for, and so many people are doing that just to stay in the status quo. And they don't even they know there's something off, but they can't necessarily. So that's interesting to, like you said, you see, right? You see who they actually are, and yet they don't see it. And then that's been difficult for me sometimes to,
Well,
to allow. Yeah. So
no, go ahead.
no, that was just what I totally get what you're saying about seeing the divinity in everyone. And yet when they don't see it, you're just like, oh, but
that's okay, because
okay.
all paths lead to home.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter if you're in spiritual communities or go to conventions or, however you want to categorize it, mindfulness, which is great, because mindfulness, I don't know, I don't really love that word, but it's just being aware of you, being aware of how you're being reactive or responsive, or and not shaming yourself for when you are reactive, because that's showing you something within yourself of like, oh well, shit. I am a little bitty right now. That's okay. But I just recognized that I was like pulling through brute force, trying to control a situation that the only thing that I'm here to control, if you want to use the word control, would be myself.
Yeah, that's it also. I mean, what else can we do except that, like relate with ourselves, and then with those that we can actually share that. But that's everybody, like you said, that is willing to exchange it, and have a reciprocity kind of relationship where there's no hierarchy. We are literally one, and we know it. And we're not only are we one in our consciousness together in that unity field of consciousness, but we're also one with every single vibrating particle of light that is around us and in our reality. And that's what's so fascinating about these times, is like, we're like, oh yeah, that experience I had where I basically melded into everything and became one with, on a particle level or whatever you want. It's like, oh, that's being recognized by science and by the quantum. And wow, like the merge happening at that level too is just incredible and exciting. And it's all I really want to do with my own time and my own energy and my own like reflection. I'm writing a lot. I'm kind of writing a book about my own personal experiences like this to assist. And then that way people can say, oh yeah, like I did, pick up that book or listen to that talk, and that's going to be feeding my own journey, and it's being chosen. So nobody is like trying to impose anything on anyone. It's just, it's there if you want it. And that's basically, and it might explain, like even to my own family, basically what I came to realize is when you have these experiences, you're not necessarily interested as much. I mean, the mundane, yes, like everything's sacred.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to like kind of waste your time with like gossip or what's
Drama.
going on in Hollywood or what's going on. Like you don't care anymore, because all that's interesting is your own life and reality and daily focus, because you realize how the important that is. And you're not going to just, I mean, yes, you might, whatever, do crazy, stupid stuff sometimes, just to that the inner child, that wants to like, and that's
Why
all.
not?
Yeah. And it's, again, if it's all vibration, that's great. And we need that so much, because like the people that are like, oh, depressed and there's a lot of that. It's like, man, you gotta like, whoo, shake it off and get out there or get in there and just be in that vibrational. I mean, Abraham Hicks, we both love, once in a while listening to her and what she's about because there's so much truth in that with the vortex, or like it's all there for you. It's just up to you to decide what you want to focus and choose. It's like,
I feel like I live in the vortex. So not all the time. I can feel when I bump out of it, if we want to call it the vortex of, I don't even look at the vortex as actual tangible stuff all the time, because tangible to me is the way something feels in a moment. That's manifestation for me as well. It's equally as like holding something in my hand, like, lipstick or, a glass of water. It's the appreciation of even the emotion or the actual item or just the experience of itself, So, yeah.
I have this really cool blue water I'm drinking right now. Look how cool that is.
That is beautiful. It almost looks purple.
I know, it's really dark blue. It's actually an algae thing, and it's called Blue Magic. I'm like, that's cool. I need to try that. Just
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Even those people that are depressed, is depression. I mean, it's a real deal. We know that. We're seeing it very, very, very heavily right now. Mental, psychological stuff is really, really concentrated right now in a lot of ways. And the depression is a signal for something to change.
Yeah.
And to, be with those people that are having those experiences, because it's very real. And yeah, it's very real.
Yeah. Well, like you said, to hold that space, you can do that through prayer. You can do that, in so many different ways. You don't necessarily have to be there holding somebody's hand.
No,
right?
it could be.
That might not actually, if you're an empath and you're surrounded by a lot of depressed people, that might not be, such a great thing. But if you're strong enough in your light, you can just be anywhere and nothing will and that's the goal for me anyways, is to constantly bring that light and that inner strength, so that no matter where I am or where I go, I will not fluctuate and get pulled into, entangled into the lower kind of frequencies, because I've been there, and often I didn't understand that's why I would have to come home and like sleep and it would take me so long to get back on track, and I wasn't, because I was always doing that, like just kind of wanting to, like you said, I have this savior complex. I'm a Pisces, it's like, oh my God, my heart's like on my, like bleeding on top of you, it's like, it's a bit much. But it's what, like, I see my grandmother had that pattern, and so it's like, yeah, there's stuff there that it's all well-meaning, but it's not very balanced. It's like the other opposite of being like a narcissist or whatever. That's very popular too. It's like an extreme of one or the other is like you're not balanced. So whether you're just thinking of yourself all the time and there's nobody else that exists except you, okay, but if you're not able to be in society and to actually care and listen to other people, then what are you, and then vice versa. So I just find that I was off balance for a long time in my life, and for whatever, I always took in stray animals. I had way too many. And then, I just wanted to take everybody in. Even I realized subconsciously when I created this retreat center, was like to take in everybody that needs, that loving heart and support and regeneration, but the idea was to get them into themselves. So to offer tools to be able to do that. Now, again, it's like I've come to a certain awareness after having had these retreats that I don't actually like that many people in my household. Isn't that ironic? But I had to experience it and live it in order to know myself, and say, you know what? Like, I don't feel like doing this. Like, okay, and that's okay, like it's okay. You don't have to do this. Like it was really like talking to my so that's been an interesting journey to realize that, and yeah, I got all like flushed and kind of a little bit embarrassed about that, but
I think it's awesome. I think it's perfectly beautiful to be able to express that, like, what you don't really want to have go on anymore, and that's okay. It's
yeah.
you were there at one time, you're not there anymore, and so it is.
And I'm grateful in a way, every crisis is an opportunity. So this whole pandemic or whatever it is that we've been experiencing
Mhm.
collectively, like I don't even, at this point, I just see everything as a gift. So I'm like, all right, this, like you said, it's waking people up, it's shaking things up, it's getting certain truths out there that need to be revealed. It's revelation time. And it's like, wow. And it's a revelation for us about being with yourself so much, in quarantine and isolation, and to realize, okay, like I'm really understanding this now, and now I'm grateful, and I'm selling this place, and I'm gonna be much freer.
Yeah, yeah. This, you called it the pandemic, whatever it is, like you said, it's there's so many things I'm continuing to learn through it, and one being like, I love my life, and I really love my life, and I really want to keep experiencing my life, and I want to keep having people come in and out of my life, however long term or short term, and enjoy those experiences for what they are, and embrace the moments that I'm in, no matter how difficult or how euphoric, because it all literally in the end feels the same to me, whether it's euphoric or shit. It still is like there's like this amalgamation of it that is all just like euphoria. Like, oh my gosh, for real? Cool. And I love how my little penis pillow back there when I move. Let's see. Oh my gosh, where'd he go?
Venus or penis?
Right there. He keeps popping through. He's like, hey, penis pillow wants to be on the screen, y'all. Of course it does.
Oh my god.
I need like a penis pillow, and then on the like over here on my left, I need a pussy pillow. That would be
That would be very
badass.
balanced. Yeah, you need the yin yang, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got my special ankh that I like to show. Ooh.
That's very pretty. Is it like alabaster?
It's kind of like, I don't know, what is that? It's like, I don't know, it's magical. That's
It is
all I know.
magical.
I don't know if you ever watched this show, The Romper Room, where they would call your name on the television screen and say, I see you.
No.
And they'd call, I see you, Megan, just kind of. So anyways, playing, that's what I like to do, play and imagine, create worlds. And then
Me
when it's
too.
done, like it's over, just like the Tibetan, those sand mandalas. It's like, and like you said, life is about experiencing in the moment what's coming through, what's coming in, and then
Gone.
passing onwards to the next adventure, or and if we have that with our own lives, like we love our lives and so fully, because we know that it's just this temporary experience, and we need to
It
live
can,
it. Yeah.
yeah. It
Mm,
can be gone in seconds, in nanoseconds.
yeah.
Like last night, I was watching The Time Traveler's Wife, and it's an old show, and at the very end of it, I started sobbing because, here's this time traveler, and he's in love with her, and he knows her from a small child, clear up until they have a child, and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, but when he died, away from her experience, but she knew that he could circle back around. But anyways, regardless, I was just like, the way that Rachel McAdams and Eric Bana, they did a really good acting as far as like her touching his face. Like she was so in the moment with him, like touching him like, this is the last time I'm going to feel the hair on his face, or this is the last time I'm going to hear his voice. And I don't.
My friend just rang the doorbell. I just realized what time it was, and she was coming over, and I wanted to do it all. I'm like, I want to do this together, and I want her to come over because we were doing
totally
ceremony.
Hey,
But
it is what it is.
just if you let me let her in 1
Yeah.
second, or what do we do? Do we
Just pause it? Pause your video and then.
Okay, I'll do that, and then I'll edit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just 1 sec.
So basically, back to the movie, experiences are fleeting. They're things to be felt and hated or loved, or whatever you want to do it, but they're fleeting, and it's as simple as that. So embrace the time that you're together with whomever you're with, because it's true, you don't know when that may be the last time, and at least in the physical structure. And life is a gift.
Yeah.
It truly is a gift, and I am more than honored to have this gift. So.
Thank you so much, Megan, for your wisdom and your joyful presence. Always, like, you are a bright star in my life, and I'm super grateful that we are still connected, and we're still here, and we made it through so many obstacles. And yeah, just to be embodying that for these times, and bringing the sacredness into every moment, as you do so well, and as I continually also am doing. So yeah, so thanks for anybody that's been listening, and we're going to continue to do these. I feel it's our time to also share where we came from, where we are, and to continue our journey this way. And it's just it benefits us anyways, and if that's benefiting us, it's going to benefit other people as well. So thank you. What's his name?
Charlie. She's a she.
Oh, she's a she.
She has no head right now.
Nope, she's in the quantum field
with the penis.
Oh, there she is. Okay, there's the penis.
Okay, I love you.
I love you too. Let's talk soon.
Totally. Love you. Mwah, mwah.
Mwah. Ciao, ciao.